These battles are not easy to change the status quo, and we have to, as Al pointed out, move beyond the status quo, move beyond partisan labels, because property taxes are killing us. People are moving out. There's business issues, and businesses are closing down. There's people, but I want you to think about that senior citizen. I never forget the story of a woman in my hometown of Glen Cove when I was first running for mayor, and I came to her door when I was knocking door to door. Over 80-something years old, she says, Tommy, she said, I grew up in this house. This was my parents' house. And then I got married and I raised the family in this house. And my kids have moved away and my husband has passed away and I can't pay the property taxes. I can't afford to stay here anymore. And that problem is still that was 10 years ago. And it's gotten worse since then. And that woman's passed away since then. But there are people like that all over the place who are scared because they don't know how to hold on to their houses. They can't pay their property taxes anymore. There are businesses that move across the border to another state because it's just cheaper to go there. There are young couples. We did a press conference with the governor, and I want to commend the governor for the great work he has done on this issue, for taking leadership on this issue in a way no governor previously has, and recognizing this is a statewide systemic problem, and not just about your local school board or your local mayor or your local county executive or your local town supervisor. This is a statewide systemic problem. But we did a press conference with a young couple who had both grown up on Long Island. They wanted to stay on Long Island. The wife had literally, I think it was 9 or 10 siblings. The husband had a few brothers and sisters. One of the wife's sisters had moved with her husband to Pennsylvania. Now, this guy was is a postman. He's making, $60,000 a year. He could get the same pay in Pennsylvania that he was getting on Long Island. Except on Long Island, the taxes were $7,000, and in Pennsylvania, the taxes were $2,500. Now, we see people leaving our state. We see the Southeast growing, and the Southwest growing, and the Midwest growing, Pennsylvania growing, Northern Pennsylvania growing. People want to stay here. They love their hometowns. And some people, it's fine. It's not a problem. They got a good job. They got enough money. They can afford to pay it. Not a problem. But there are a lot of people who just can't make it anymore. The property taxes are crushing the people that we want to help the most. Low and moderate income people, working people. The thing that kills me is the Working Families Party and the unions who represent working people. This is the biggest issue for working people, is the property taxes. They can't, it's a regressive tax that they cannot, it's businesses. If you don't have businesses, if you don't have small businesses locating here, you don't have jobs. Small businesses are the biggest job creators. You're a startup business, you have a fixed cost of a high property tax, you can't get off the ground to get your business started. So I don't have to convince you that property taxes are a problem. Let me get into a little bit more detail. First, I want you to recognize that we have the highest local taxes in America in New York State. We're number one. Highest local taxes in America, 79% above the national average. Nobody comes close. For those of us that live outside of New York City, those high local taxes are property taxes. The biggest piece of our property taxes are school taxes. 60 to 65% of the taxes we pay are school taxes. They're growing at an average over the past decade of 7% a year. It's unsustainable. We can't afford it anymore. It is manifest in the fact that 3 of the highest taxed counties in America by household are in New York State. 3 of the top 10 in the country are in Nassau County. My county, Nassau, is one of them. Rockland County is one of the other ones. You guys are number 7 in the country. Forget about New York State. 7th highest dollar amount in property taxes in America are here in your county. We have 4 of the top 10 counties in America property taxes as a percentage of people's income. And who's hurt the most? Low and moderate income persons. 4 of the top 10 in America are in New York State. Rockland County, Nassau County are both 2 of those 4 highest in America. 9 of the top 10 highest effective tax rates in America are in New York State. Property taxes as a percentage of people's home values are in upstate counties in New York. So people say, oh, look at those taxes up in Buffalo, Erie County, or Rochester, or one of the other upstate counties. They're not as high like they are down here. Down here, they're $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 taxes. Up there, they're only $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. But as a percentage of their home values, it's the highest percentage of America. And, you know, we think we got it tough down here. You cut off north of Rockland County and made that a separate state, it's the poorest state in the country, New York State. These people are devastated in these communities with boarded up stores and empty homes and foreclosures and people moving out, can't find a job. You ask the people upstate New York what the biggest issue is, they'll say the economy, but their economic problems are directly related to property taxes. You ask the people where I live the biggest issue, they'll say property taxes. Probably here in Rockland County, they'll say it's the biggest. Let me ask this question. I do this at different meetings. In Nassau County, in Long Island, 82% of the people say that property taxes are either a serious or very serious problem. So I'll give you one of three choices. Not a problem, four choices. Not a problem, somewhat of a problem, a serious problem, or a very serious problem. Who says property taxes are not a problem here in Rockland County? I want to just get a sense. Who says property taxes are somewhat of a problem here in Rockland County? Somewhat of a problem. Who says property taxes are a serious problem here in Rockland County? Who says property taxes are a very serious problem? Okay, so this is very similar results to what I find in other places. As a matter of fact, your very serious was lower than I thought it would be. Okay, so why are our property taxes so high? What is the reason our property taxes are so high? Well, as Al pointed out, we spend more per student than any state in America. Now, that's good. I mean, you know, we want to invest in education. We want to compete in the global economy. We all value. Governor Patterson has devoted his life, his career in public service, to education, to labor unions, quite frankly, as well. We on the commission, who served on the commission, are all pro-education. We cannot survive in the world economy without educated students. But we are spending more per student than any state in America. And the second reason as to why our property taxes are so high, there's only two ways to pay for your schools. Property taxes is one, and state aid is the other. Those are the only two choices you have. So in New York State, although we spend more than the national average per student, because the total amount per student is higher than anywhere else in the nation, the percentage of the overall cost that is picked up through state aid is below the national average. So the national average is like 45% of the cost is picked up by the states. In New York State, it's more like 43%, and that includes STAR. So we have the highest cost per student in America, and we're below the national average in how much the state picks up. So we've got only three choices going forward. There's no spin here. I'm a CPA and a lawyer. I'm very, very precise when it comes to the CPA part. The law part, I'm not as precise, but there's only three choices going forward. We want to have the highest, most expensive schools in the country, highest cost per student in the country. And, you know, Massachusetts, just so you know, is number one in the nation in all standardized testing. Number one in the nation. New York State is as low as number 30 in our standardized tests, those national tests they do. Massachusetts is consistently number one. They used to be number one in taxes. Now, they used to call it Taxachusetts, remember? Now it's number 30-something. Now they're number one in standardized testing, and we're as low as number 30 in our standardized testing. So just remember that. And we're number one in the taxes. Okay, so what was I talking about? So we only have three choices going forward. We can either reduce our expenses or slow the rate of growth of our expenses. That's one choice going forward. With our expensive schools going up 7% a year, we can either reduce the expenses or at least reduce the rate of growth of expenses. That's one choice. The second choice is we can increase our state aid, have the state aid pick up more of the cost of our schools. Or third, we can keep on increasing the property taxes the way we have been increasing the property taxes historically. Those are the only three things we can choose from. That's all we've got. All budgets are either revenues or expenses. That's it. So on the revenue side, we can either keep on increasing the property taxes or increase the state aid. That's the only choices we've got. Or on the expense side, we can reduce the expenses or at least reduce the rate of growth of expense. Those are our only choices.